Comcast Business helps retailers become seamlessly restocking, frictionless paying favorite shopping destinations. It's how nationwide restaurants become touchscreen ordering, quick serving eateries, and how hospitals become the patient scanning, data managing healthcare facilities that we all depend on. With leading networking and connectivity, advanced cybersecurity, and expert partnership, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business. Powering possibilities. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
O'Reilly! You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Doesn't matter if you're an Indian or if you're a Warhawk.
The ULM mention is the greatest. You'd hope for the best as a ULM fan, but
this is the Bleav in the Warhawks podcast with hosts Dusty Thibodeau and Chase Region.
Chase, you always have such great insight.
Thibs is going to bleep it all.
What are these guys always talking about?
We talk a lot about food on this podcast, and I'm going to continue to do so.
Really, really appreciative of the people and the community and the way that they've backed us up.
Nailed the introduction, by the way. Awesome.
Thanks,
I love
Fish.
it. Chase, it is time for spring ball. I know this was always your favorite time of the year when you were suited up for the Warhawks.
Yeah, you remember the I Hit for 15 shirts? You remember those tips? I hope they don't do those anymore. They were pretty terrible.
What was the I Hit for 15? I don't remember.
If you made all 15 practices of spring practices, they got you a shirt that said I hit for 15, and it was a long sleeve shirt that they wanted you to wear in July. It didn't make any sense to me. Anyway, I still have the shirts, 2 of them actually. Anyways, spring ball. It's an exciting time. You get to kind of see what people are made of.
Were they schmediums?
Well, I've gained a little weight, so yeah, it looks like a schmedium, but not everything fit right from my beautiful alma mater.
Well, I finally got my ULM baseball shirt in, rocking that for tonight, even though we're talking football.
Come on.
Chase, we know it's head coach Bryant Vincent running the program.
Yeah.
But the guy behind him that really is the string puller, the puppet master for all things, they used to be called Director of Football Ops, and now they got a really cool title there of Chief of Staff.
Isn't that a cool title? I like it.
He's like Prince. And Jay-Z, he only has one name, and that is Coach Mods. Mods, welcome into Bleav in the Warhawks.
Oh, glad to be here, Thibs and Chase. It's an honor. You gassing me up way too much, man.
Thibs, you should see Coach Mods on the sidelines, okay? He is an animal, dude. It's so cool to see the passion he has for the game and for everything that's going on. It feels like he has 20 different jobs, and he just gets after it, dude. It's a pleasure to watch.
So, Mods, we always kick off every guest we have. Why ULM? I know that you had some ties there with Bryant Vincent, but you were a long way. You were a Shark at Long Island before you were really rocking the Shark's tooth here of the P40s.
Yeah, I think early on in your career, when you're looking to get started, you're willing to take any and every job. For me, anyways, as a high school coach, to get into college ball. So, I was plugging and placing and trying to find my spot, my niche in college football. But now that I got a little bit of experience and built a little bit of a resume up, so to speak, in the past few years, it's really become more about who I'm following, who the leader is, who's the one running the organization. So it's been a lot less over the years. It's been a lot less about what team do I want to be a part of and more about what leader do I want to follow. I knew when I separated from Coach Vincent, when we were at UAB together, that at some point he was going to get a chance to be a head coach. And I told him when I left UAB, when you get a head job, I'm there, I'm coming, I'm going to be with you. And when he got this job, it was a no-brainer to follow him here.
One of your jobs, in addition to being chief of staff, which, by the way, when did that become a title and not DFO?
It feels like the off-the-field roles are growing more and more. The more money that gets pulled into college athletics and football and NIL, and it just seems like the more that happens, the more that follow suit with the off-the-field roles. The general manager, the chief of staff has kind of been the mantra or the cool way to go with the titles, instead of what used to be the director of player personnels, the director of recruitings. There's more money there now, so you can now have at the higher levels, the director of recruiting, the director of player personnel, all these titles, and then you've got a chief of staff that runs it all. So really, chief of staff is just a fancy term for a guy who handles ops and personnel and blends all that together.
That's a great answer there, Chase, but I'm not buying it. He wanted a cool title for a business card is all it is.
Oh, dude, I'm sure it looks great on a business card, Coach, because it's a cool title. So you do, you're involved with recruiting, you're involved with all that kind of stuff, and then they throw you into special teams. And I know you've coached positions in the past, and kind of does that come from just having experience as a position coach? Like, how do those two blend?
Yeah. To be honest, it's really just dating back, trying to be the most valuable guy you can be in the building, right? So when I was a younger coach, and in my years of growing up, always trying to help with special teams, get involved, find a niche, help a coach out who needs help, and really learned the special teams over the years to where I could set myself up to be able to come in here. Coach Vincent originally brought me in to be the chief of staff. He knew I was an ops guy. I could handle the ops stuff, organization, logistics, everything that you need to be an ops and a personnel guy. He knew that's what I could be. And when I got here and I showed him that I had developed over the years as a special teams coordinator, which I was at LIU, and just to show him that I had developed and taken those organizational skills and been able to apply them to special teams, that's the real task that it was showing that I could be organized on the field. And I took that job and that role when I got here and ran with it. And Coach Vincent's really let me run with it. So appreciative to him to let me wear so many hats and really thrive in a bunch of different roles here.
Yeah, I got a story for you, Thibs. I couldn't remember what game it was. It might have been James Madison this year. But, I have to do for radio, Coach, I do sideline radio, and I have to do the pregame thing, Thibs, right? Where you run out pregame, you get the refs on the mic. I run back, and I usually run straight off on the 50. And I actually ran straight, and I was kind of going over, and Moz, I'm talking about those where you're counting 11 people for the kickoff.
That's right.
Well, I ran into that, and you pushed me out of the way. Dude was just fired up. And I was with it, dude. I was like, let's go. I haven't been, I almost said I hadn't been touched in a while. I hadn't been hit.
I always tell the special teams when we're going out there for kickoff, that's the first play of defense. That's an opportunity for the kickoff return team to have an explosive play, to put the ball in their playmakers' hands no matter what, and have a chance to return one. So our kickoff team goes out there, really looking for blood and guts. I mean, that's the mantra we ride with. We need to go down there and we need our guys to use full-fledged effort and be the first play of defense. So, and it cross relates to all the special teams. So Coach Vincent, again, everything starts with Coach Vincent. He does a great job of letting me make special teams important in the building. So I appreciate him for that.
100%. I'm known for really taking a few shits on kickers and punters, if I'm being honest with you, Mods. But I was the backup deep snap myself, and I thankfully only had to take 2 snaps in my career. But you're 100% right. You can set a tone, dude. I mean, think about it. You get a kickoff return, you blow somebody up. I mean, it just sets kind of for the crowd, for everybody on offense or defense. It kind of just sets a tone, dude. I think it's such a great job, and I really Bleav this, that for the most part, I think we won a lot of games, especially this year, and hopefully, this continues in the future off of just playing good special teams, right? I think people want to talk about, mod or why we won certain games, but dude, I mean, your teams were so solid in the way that they just kind of attacked each rep with such intensity. I do have a question for you though. Okay, is the food better in Monroe than Long Island?
Oh, no doubt. I'm a Southern guy at heart. The people are nice. The food is great. Monroe really has been so welcoming. I mean, you can see it's a community that really, really it meshes together. The people lean on each other. Everybody knows everybody. And to be able to bring that excitement of winning and potentially taking this thing to the next level, and bowl games and championships and everything we talk about with the team every day, to be able to bring that to the community, it really mirrors, my hometown team growing up was the Buffalo Bills, right? So that small, yeah. So that small town, hometown feel, that connection to the team, I feel that, and I felt it when I got to Monroe. I could name 100 people right now that have made me feel like Monroe's a second home. So really, really appreciative of the people and the community and the way that they've backed us up.
Well, where are you originally from? Where'd you grow up?
10 minutes from the Bills Stadium. I'm from Buffalo.
Come on.
Oh, yeah.
So you loved the little bit of snow you got this year, huh? Felt like
I'll
home?
tell you what, everybody always asks me, they say, well, you're from Buffalo, you're from the cold weather, you should like the cold. That just, I don't like the cold. It just makes me appreciate being in the warm even more.
Yeah. Let's have this conversation late July, see if you're still having the same tune, because we know how tough it gets out there.
That's right.
Sorry about that. I had to take a brief time out. Apparently, my computer decided that it didn't want to participate anymore, so it dropped out. Don't know what was said, but
we talked about food.
Mods. Oh, well, of course you talked about food. Mods, you talked about your special teams role. How great and easy is it that you have two great players there with Max Larson and Ryan McKenzie, or did I say it backwards of McKenzie Ryan?
Yeah, Mackenzie Ryan. Yeah, you know what? I'll say this. I'm going to give the whole Specs room a shout out, because we're bringing the same guy back, Andrew Wells, who's our holder. We're bringing the same long snapper back in Nolan Wilson, and of course the guys who get the credit on game day. We're bringing back Mac and Max, but it's super refreshing to have the consistency of not talking about expectations and the little mistakes and the little hiccups that group had, start to finish, from the moment we've gotten back. That group has really, really, really stepped up to the plate. And it's not just the offense and the defense and the Specs off to the side. The Specs really feel part of the team. So I appreciate, again, it starts with Coach Vincent making special teams important, but the Specs really feel an ownership to the team. And obviously, Mac and Max, the stats that they put up last year were impressive. So hopefully just want to build on that and continue to build on the field position aspect of the game.
It was definitely refreshing that it was not a dicey situation to even kick a PAT, or that the punter was going to be running out onto the field. Because there were some seasons in the past, I was like, just go for it. And I know we're on our own 5, but trust me, just go for it. It's fine.
Yeah, and Coach, you know what, Dusty, I'll say this. I give the Specs a lot of credit in the way that they prepare, because the way they prepare is consistent, and they go out on the field and give a consistent product. So I appreciate them for that as much as anything.
But can you understand anything that McKenzie actually says to you?
That was my next question. What's the language barrier there?
It's not as much a language barrier as it was just introduction to football. That was the big thing for him, because Australian football, there's two kinds of guys who can come over overseas. There's rugby players and there's Australian football, and it's two different things. The Australian football guys, they play a whole different game. It's different. He needed to learn the rules of football, the base rules more than anything, which that was a big barrier starting off, but he's totally dove 100% in, and he's definitely learned it all.
Yeah, he definitely, like I was talking about earlier, kind of, he was a big point of being able to, flip the field a lot, and a lot of those games that where it really, really mattered. What's the next step for somebody like McKenzie? I know kind of in the middle of the season, he might have had a few inconsistencies. Is it kind of cleaning that stuff up? Is it adding to yardage totals? What do you think the next step is for him?
Yeah, I mean, put it this way. A lot of people in-house and out-of-house look at McKenzie. He's 25 years old. So he's not looked at necessarily as a freshman, but he's a freshman, right? So you look at the guys, how many guys do we have starting last year that were freshmen, Ahmad and Mac? So when you look at it from that perspective, we went through the growing pains by allowing him to get on the field. So situationally speaking, he got to face Texas backed up. He got to go into Auburn and kick a ball and down them inside the 5 to keep that game close in the first half. He was in those big moments. He was able to put himself in situations where he was facing a rush and see what that felt like year one. The sky is seriously the ceiling for this kid. I mean, he can do it all.
A big part of your role, though, is, as you said earlier, off the field. Tell me, what does it take to get the Warhawks from Malone to wherever they're playing that week on an away game?
Yeah, the preparation starts now. I'm going to give my guy Benji on campus a shout out. Benji's the business guy over across the bridge, and he really handles a lot of different hats. I mean, he takes care of all the teams, everything all encompassing when it comes to buses, planes, food, everything I need to do. I go through Benji, but the long and the short of it is it really starts now. Not to get too detailed into every little nuance and semantic that is associated with it, but basically the schedule came out a few weeks ago. And when that schedule comes out, it's a lot of phone calls to a lot of hotels, a lot of food places. We're putting bids out for planes and buses. And it's just every little detail that you could think of, from transporting 150 people, food, transportation, logistics, lodging, everything all encompassing to the minute. We got to detail up. So really, we've already started that process right now.
Do you have to always shuffle the plane around to make sure Chase has his
No, I was just about to complain of that. Mods gave Corey Crow an exit seat, and he sticks me in the back next to the bathroom. I don't think I was that far, but I'll be dramatic. Next to the bathroom, okay, against a person the same size as me.
I got to check his seat. I got to check his
Corey
seat.
Crow is like 5'9". And Mike, all the other radio guys, it felt personal, Mods. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No hard feelings. No, it's to be honest, guys, it's a ton of logistics, but yeah. I don't want to take all the credit for it. I got a lot of people helping me out. And really, the biggest thing that I'll say, and I'll talk about travel as a microcosm, but really all encompassing when it comes to DFO, chief of staff, it really comes down to everybody all involved. We're all Team Vincent. We're all Team Warhawks. We're all doing everything we can to help. And when you got a bunch of guys on staff like that, like Derek Cronenwet, like Bryant Novick, when you got guys like that, everybody comes together to help everybody else out. And that's what really creates the fluidity in the building.
Yeah.
Last year, Coach Mods, it was heartbreaking. 5-7. What's it take to get that one game and go 6-6?
Yeah, I mean, Dusty, to be honest, the expectations are a championship, right? Like that's what we talk about. And we don't want to put the cart before the horse, right? You got to win 6 before you win the championship. And we all know that, but the standard that we set when we came here, the players, the coaches, the support staff, the head coach, everybody involved, we have that vision. So it really comes down to work ethic, buy-in, and just coming to work every day and doing what we say we're going to do, even after that moment passes when we said it.
Coach, tell me about what does spring ball look like for you? What does a practice look like for the team? I want you to plug the spring game, kind of like everything that's going on, what people can attend. I know just the spring game, right? But yeah, what does a practice look like? What does springtime look like for you?
Yeah, loaded question, just because obviously have
at the same time.
Yeah,
but
it's a constant. It's a balance for me, right? It's the on the field stuff, and then it's the off the field stuff. So just making sure that I get into the office early enough, staying late, making sure putting the hours in to make sure everything's organized. But as far as practice, dating back to our days at UAB, practice to the minute, to the whistle is organized. So, to be in that structure under the head coach's organization, the position coaches and coordinators also have to be equally as organized. So if you were to look at a script for what we do, you'd see we're doing 11 periods, 4-minute periods. The whistle blows, we're to the next period, and it's super, super scripted out. So everything we do has purpose, and a lot of what we're doing in the office is actually preparation for practice.
Love that, dude. I have fond memories of spring football. I think it's kind of where you see some men getting made. You know what I mean, Coach? It's kind of where you see a lot of things develop. You see your team start to develop in front of your eyes. I'm really excited from what little things I'm hearing out of what the Warhawks are doing right now.
Yeah, and you look at it, and it really shows. The guys that we brought in, that we recruited, are the guys who are stepping up, and those guys, including the guys who are already here, who are still here, are really blending to be a really good group of leaders. I mean, we're moving definitely everybody in one direction.
What's the biggest thing that fans can do to try to support this team as they go for that 6th, 7th, or even 8th win?
Oh man, Dusty, just tell them keep doing what they're doing. We feel the support. We go to restaurants and people are high-fiving us, telling us, business owners too, and they're telling us, we're excited, we're behind you, we believe in you, and just coming to games, coming to events, coming together as a community. I mean, there's nothing I don't think that the community can do more as much as just keep staying behind us.
I think I got one more question for you, Coach. And that is, how unnatural is it to have a left-footed kicker?
It makes my head hurt.
You know what? It's the old saying, when you have a left-handed quarterback, you got to just flip all your calls, right? To be honest, I don't want to get too into scheme on a podcast, but
sure,
we're keeping it pretty simple for him, and you go back and watch the film, and people know what he's doing. We're trying to put the ball as deep as possible, and Max has high goals, high aspirations, and I encourage those high goals and aspirations, and I tell him what he needs to do to reach those goals. And part of reaching those goals is kicking the ball a little bit further on those kickoffs. He knows that, and it's something he's been working really hard at. But as far as sending him out there, our holder, we don't give him enough credit. Andrew Wells is a killer. He goes out there, he holds for Luke Stagg, who's a righty, then he holds for Max, who's a lefty, and he just does it in the most natural way. Not only is he the leader of the group, but he does a really good job with what we ask him to do. Love
that shout out. Such an underrated part of a football team is the holder. And I encourage anybody that thinks that it's not an important part to go listen to Pat McAfee talk about it, because he does a great job explaining how it's a terrifying position that can mess a lot of things up real fast.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to jinx our special teams unit, but they really trust each other. They really do. When we go out there and we kick a field goal, when we're about to punt the ball, I mean, they really trust each other, and that's a big part of special teams, is the trust factor amongst those guys.
Yeah.
And Chase, just know that I place held in high school. It's when I got my only football concussion.
That's you got a concussion as a holder. That tracks, Tibbs. That tracks for a lot of reasons.
I do what I can. Mods, I can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your chief of staff duties to join Chase and myself as we break down the insides of the Warhawks. So we appreciate it, and we will see you around for spring practice as well.
Hey, I appreciate you guys, and just anytime you guys want to come by, just obviously call me, text me, come on by, and come watch us practice, guys.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices. That's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies. So you save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
O'Reilly.
Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Listeners, are you looking for a shortcut to better auto insurance for you? Something that takes all the research off your plate, something that's easy, something that matches you with lower rates, something genius. That's where NerdWallet comes in. These nerds have already done the work for you. Just answer a few questions and ta-da, you'll be matched with top insurance providers in your area. Find the right rate for you today at nerdwallet.com. After all, using NerdWallet is more than just smart, it's genius. Not all applicants will qualify for the lowest monthly payments. NerdWallet Insurance Services, Inc. CA resident license number OK92033.
Comcast Business helps retailers become seamlessly restocking, frictionless paying favorite shopping destinations. It's how nationwide restaurants become touchscreen ordering, quick serving eateries, and how hospitals become the patient scanning, data managing healthcare facilities that we all depend on. With leading networking and connectivity, advanced cybersecurity, and expert partnership, Comcast Business is powering the engine of modern business, powering possibilities. Restrictions apply.
So, Chase, we wrapped it up there with mods, but something that you are not very well versed in. So we had to bring in the reinforcements.
Thank God.
The diamond shining bright for the softball team, going 3-0 over the weekend, getting the clean sweep, getting a no-no in the process. The men 1-2 had a chance to get the series win on the second game Saturday of the doubleheader, but just couldn't quite get it done. So we bring in Martin Radosevic, SID for ULM, to talk a little baseball. It's his sport. We're just watching from the stands. Martin, what the hell happened this weekend at Harrisonburg?
I tell you what, Tibbs, Chase, good. Thank you for having me on. Really excited to be here again.
Thanks for saving my ass.
Well, I'm glad an invitation was extended to me to come on a second time after the first episode, which really surprised there. But always down to talk baseball, softball. And yeah, what a series in Harrisonburg. I mean, that was, game one, James Madison takes it 10-4 and pull away, have a really big lead. But then you have the doubleheader on Saturday because Sunday there's weather coming into Harrisonburg. So now, if you're looking at ULM, this is a tough spot because playing a doubleheader, that requires maximum focus. And, those guys got out there at 1:00 Eastern and, they played really well, and they're flying across the country too. That trip is a haul to get out to Harrisonburg. So these guys are miles away from home. They're, coming into a really tough environment and, for the conference opener too, and playing a team that made regionals last year. So there's a lot against, backs are against the wall. This is a really tough situation. And to respond after falling in that first game the way they did on Saturday, that first game of that doubleheader, I mean, that was so impressive. And you look at the offense, the guys stepping up, a couple guys that come to mind, Henry Garcia Jr., he had an unbelievable Saturday. In game one, he had a couple hits, 3 RBIs, really getting the job done, driving in runners. Michelle Artsberger hits an opposite field home run. And then you're really looking for the big innings. That's what you're looking for in these conference games. If you put up a 5-6 run inning, that's really going to help you out and carry you well and really bode well for you. So that was the Warhawks got out to an early lead, and then settling in on the mound, you had freshman Ashton Bassett, who had, I think, the best start of his career here. He goes 5 innings strong, picks up the win, only surrenders 1 earned run, strikes out 4, worked around some traffic with 4 walks, but was able to avoid damage and really settled in on the mound. And I think since the offense got out to that big lead and generated a lot of runs early, Ashton, he really settled in and he had his stuff going, was fooling the Dukes at the plate. So, and then Joey Sorelli coming in for the save, working 4 innings and, preserving that bullpen for that second game. That was huge when you look at how that series finale unfolded. So you get to game 2 and the lineup looks a little bit different. So, I think that there were some injuries from that first game of the doubleheader. And so, Colby Lunsford's not at short, Bryce Blazer's not in left, and you have a really different looking lineup, something that we haven't seen this season that, Coach Fed had to work with the bench he had and with the guys he had. So that third game was an absolute war, and it was back and forth. It was really a game that could have gone either way. Coming out of the bullpen, you have Josh Gregoire. And this dude, he was absolutely sharp. He sat down the first 10 guys he saw because the game goes into extra innings, but he keeps going out there, and the Dukes, they could not get a read on him, and he kept fooling them, throwing off speed. His stuff was really good, really working. So the game goes to extras. Both teams are kind of struggling to find offense to find the go-ahead or game-winning run. So Gregoire is out there. So their reliever too, his name's Max Cool, and he was named to
best baseball name other than the guy from Marshall.
Max Cool is an awesome name.
Yeah,
it doesn't beat Bryce Blazer, but Max Cool is pretty dope, dude. Sorry,
it is. So he was named to the I don't know the exact name of this watch list, but it's the basically the best relievers in the country. The
National Award.
The Stopper Award. That's it, Thibs. Yes. So he's named to this list. So the Warhawks are facing him, and Landry and Billings. Those two guys, they score a run, tie the game off one of the best relievers in the country, and so you're feeling good going to extras. Cool is getting in innings 3 and 4. You're kind of hoping maybe the Warhawks break through for a run, scratch one across with Gregoire and his good stuff. And unfortunately, just couldn't find that go-ahead run. And, Gregoire, like I said, had a really great outing. And so he retires the first 10 batters he sees. So with 1 out in the 11th, this JMU hitter, he lines one right back up the middle, and it hits Gregoire on his glove. It's his glove side, hits off his glove. So Brandon Frasina, our athletic trainer, goes out to check on him. Fed's out there. He throws a couple warm-up pitches. But it just seemed like it kind of just, he was just in his head a little bit after that point. I think he hit a couple guys after that. So now the bases are loaded with 1 out. And so, yeah, there were a couple hit by pitches. It kind of affected his psyche, I think, a little bit because of that comebacker was really sharply hit. So Aiden Haynes comes in, and it was his first appearance. He was, rehabbing, kind of getting back into it, hadn't made an appearance all year. And you can't draw it up with any more pressure than a conference series finale, rubber game, bases loaded, 1 out. And he works a full count against the hitter he faces. And the Dukes hit a sacrifice fly to left field and walk it off. But I think the bottom line, and what I think the guys are going to take from this weekend is they can go toe to toe with anybody in this conference. And this is a really deep league. This is, I think, it is the toughest group of 5 baseball leagues in the country. And I think it's up there with the Big 12, the ACC, the Big 10. This is a really competitive league. And you look at RPI and the regional bids that the Sun Belt will get, it's up there with even the power 4s. And so I think that this is a really good confidence booster. And, you turn the page to this week, you go to Louisiana Tech, which is obviously a rivalry. There's going to be, a lot of emotions for that game, obviously, since there are quite a few players on this team that are from the Northeast Louisiana area. And then you have Southern Miss coming into town, which is a nationally ranked team, a team that has really, kind of fired on all cylinders, has had some big wins early. And they're going to be looking to take all 3. Old Dominion came into the Pete last weekend. They stole the last game, and they're going to be looking to kind of avenge that. And, ULM last year stole a game out in Hattiesburg as well. So they're going to be they'll bring a big crowd. It'll be a really good atmosphere. And so, but I think this series out in Harrisonburg, although it didn't go the Warhawks' way in terms of a series win, getting that second game and competing right till the end in that third game when everything was on the line, I think if you're the Warhawks, you're Coach Federico, that staff, you got to feel pretty good about the competitiveness of this team and where things are going as the rest of the season unfolds.
Yeah, I want to say 2 things, Martin. First off, Southern Miss might be nationally ranked, but they've got the worst uniforms in college baseball. They're disgusting.
They're not the mustard buzzards for nothing.
Yeah, they look terrible, and they should go away with them. And I want to ask, I want you to explain this to somebody that may or may not, not like baseball or
Name
understand
Chase.
it. Okay.
Name Chase.
How do you go into Ruston? What do the Warhawks need to do to get a win from your, obvious All-American expertise?
Yeah, that is definitely something. Last year, the Warhawks played Louisiana Tech 3 games, and Tech took all 3. And this was something, I don't know if the Warhawks took all 3 in 2023. So that was the first year that this kind of series was reignited between ULM and Louisiana Tech. And that's something I think that fans, people in this community want to see, not just in baseball, but in all sports. And so anytime we played them in softball this year, really good crowds, really good games for that softball series. And so I think that I think going into that environment where it's going to be, a midweek, a night game, they're going to bring a lot of fans. We'll have some fans come over from Monroe. So I think that sometimes one of the things about baseball is, I played football in high school. And so when you have a big crowd on a Friday night and the energy is really high, you kind of play spirited and your energy's up. Baseball, you can't really have your emotions get too high. And it's kind of funny and weird to explain it like that, but you kind of have to never get too high, never get too low, because you're going to go through ebbs and flows through a season, through your career, through, any period of time. And so, if you're in a slump, you're 0 for 10 and things aren't going your way, you can't get too down. Same if you're, 7 for 10, have a couple home runs, driving guys in, you really can't get too high because the game can change so quickly. And so I think one of the keys to tomorrow's game is to, really just kind of zone it, really lock in, zone in, and not have the crowd or the environment dictate how the game's going to go and how that's going to affect the Warhawks playing. Louisiana Tech, they just took a series at Wichita State. Some wild games. Game 1 of that series, the final score was 27-12. And that's kind of a weird score for the first game, because typically game 1 of a 3-game set, the teams are going to throw their best arms, their best guys first. and so a lot of offense there early, so they can swing it. And the ballpark there, it plays more towards the batters. It's kind of a more the fences, the outfield, the parameters, the distances are a little bit shorter than some places. So that definitely favors the hitters. So I would predict that there could be a lot of offense tomorrow, especially since it's a midweek as well. So I think for the Warhawks, definitely like they did in game 2, that second game of the series in Harrisonburg, getting out to an early lead is crucial. That helps your pitching kind of settle in, kind of relax a little bit. If you have a 3-4 run lead going into the middle innings, you can kind of rely on your pitching and feel comfortable on where you're at with your offense, and hope that lasts and kind of stands throughout the rest of the game.
Martin's making a run to take over your analyst job there.
No,
Chase.
he should just have it, dude. I mean, if this is what you want when you ask for baseball commentary, I don't know why you ever asked me for baseball commentary. We should have Martin on every other week to talk about baseball, because this is actually this makes sense. My shit is just awful.
It's like that scene from Billy Madison where, they're having to play the music and the guy's playing the classical and the violin, and then Billy picks up a recorder and just makes a god-awful sound. It's like, he's good. The scene, though.
Absolutely. Dude, Martin, appreciate you coming on and helping me out here, brother. 100%, dude.
Hey,
this
anytime.
kid knows ball.
That's what happens when you're a first-round draft pick and a McDonald's All-American.
McDonald's, wrong sport, maybe? Or do they do McDonald's in baseball, too? I think it's in basketball.
I should start telling people that, and maybe they'd believe me. A McDonald's All-American.
Claim you're Bleav in the Warhawks All-American, Martin Radosevic.
He was not a Golden Spikes winner. He was a Golden Spike winner.
Love that, dude. Killed it.
Martin, I know you got some good stories for the road, so close us out with a good story time.
Sure. And real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to ULM softball. Awesome conference start. Georgia State swept the Panthers here. Really a walk-off win in game 2, down in the 7th inning, and score to win the game at home. And the Warhawks are 15-0 at home. Haven't lost at the ULM softball complex this season. So Coach Fickner is doing a great job, but a huge, huge series this weekend down in Lafayette against the Raging Cajuns. And so they play midweek Wednesday at Southeastern, but this weekend coming up, it's the first games that the Cajuns are playing Sunbelt games at home. So last weekend they went on the road to Marshall, and the Cajuns had a Sunbelt Conference series winning streak that spanned 89 games. They had won 89 straight conference series in a row, which is absolutely dominant. That's the definition of dominance right there. Well, they go out to Huntington last week, and Marshall took 2 out of 3 from them and snapped that streak. And it's first-year head coach there. She's a former player. I know she's going to do a great job of, being the head of that program and leading that program. But just kind of a surprise there for Marshall to come away with 2 wins. So the Cajuns are going to be absolutely hungry to win this series this weekend. But for the Warhawks, a really great opportunity to go in as a 3-0 conference start, possibly go down there, compete and see what happens. But that's going to be a really fun one to watch. So I encourage the Warhawk fans out there to tune in this weekend as they play that team down south, and it should be a really good series.
And thank you, Martin, for the lead in to say, the weekly ULL sucks, and I'm glad they got beat because they suck, and I'm excited for the Warhawks to go down there. And Thibs, not really great when the guy steals your job too, is it?
For what?
For bringing up softball and leading this podcast.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Not great, is it, Thibs? Doesn't feel good, does it?
Well, Thibs, I wanted to ask you. So, what was your thoughts on this weekend's baseball and softball games? What were your thoughts?
Not surprised by softball. I think that overall Sunbelt softball is down this year. So if there's a year that the Warhawks have a chance to make that big run, they have a really good team. They have a good chance to make that deep run at the Troy tournament at the end of the year. And then baseball, they're snake bitten. I mean, there's no reason they shouldn't have swept that Saturday doubleheader, just unable to get the timely hits and one pitch away. And I get that you don't want to burn through all your arms, but when the guy gets hit by the comebacker, you got to pull him because he's not going to be right between the ears, and it's too important down the stretch that you just got to burn another arm at that case and replace the guy.
And that's a tough spot to be in. And like he sat down first 10 batters he saw, he got those outs. So with that, and you want to trust, he looked good in the warm-up tosses, and you don't want to. You want to stay with the hot hand. So it's a tough spot, but that's like how small the margin of error is in these conference games. And each one is a battle. And that's for baseball and softball. And I think the beauty of the 3-game conference series is you will see throughout the course of the season that winning those series, that turns into going to Montgomery or Troy. That's really, and I think the goal of this team and what ULM is striving to do is, hey, we need to take a series here and there. We need to be the surprise some weekends. And, that starts this weekend against the Golden Eagles. And, ULM's going to be the underdog. And with Southern Miss coming in, they're going to be favored. There's the picks. People are going to pick Southern Miss to win the series. But, at some point, if you want to go to Montgomery, win at Montgomery, go to a regional, you got to win one of those series and kind of surprise some folks. So it's a great opportunity for Fed and, for Fed and the team to do that. And so I think for softball, and it's the same thing, like this is going to be a series where, with going to Lafayette, being on the road, their backs are going to be against the wall, but to be in a good seed for the conference tournament, to prepare for the postseason, it's going to be just like this in a really, kind of chaotic environment. And I think that these are two really key series this weekend that have a really big impact on the rest of the season.
For sure. And we'll be back next week with Chase to give his great insight on everything that happens on the diamond.
James, you wear a lot of hats. You're a veteran and household chef, a self-taught barber and dream chaser and student. You're an ander. At National University, we see the whole you. That's why we've created online and hybrid programs that flex to help you balance your full life so you can focus on what's right in front of you. National University, supporting the whole you. Learn more at nu.edu.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
O'Reilly. Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.